Welcome back, everybody. This is Tommy from the Golden Dice Podcast. Today I will be hosting in place of Jack, so I'm usurping again. And today with me I got Scott. We're doing the All Old Man episode.
Yeah, we're the old two out of the group. I don't like that distinction.
It's true, Scott. We're old. I got a kid. You're
You're
old.
old.
I am old. I'm
You got a
ancient.
birthday, you know. You're
Yeah,
palpably old.
I know.
I
It's
did. I
scary.
mean, I have missed 2 months of work because I knelt down, but I'm not old.
I mean, I was on the scale the other day, and now I'm almost 200 pounds. So that's scary for me. I'm not used to that either.
That's just
So
fat,
everything
not
is just.
old.
Yeah, but I'm dying, Scott. I'm on my way out.
Well, I mean, I've seen what you eat,
There's
so
nothing wrong with eating cookie dough.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with eating cookie dough, but that's all you eat.
It's good. So I don't know. That's what I
That
like.
wife of
My
yours.
wife lets me. So
I know. She tries not to, but that's the one area you like eat her down on.
it's organic. It's all right. It's good for you.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, tangent number one out of the way. So some stuff. There's been some spoilers for Star Wars Destiny for
Yeah,
Across the
stuff
Galaxy.
is
Maybe
going off, yeah.
there's some news. The potential leaked release date, courtesy of our friend Inception on the Discords. Showing around maybe I think a Spanish site, some images from that. We got some CAPA Cup hype for you. We're gonna talk about some new tokens for a Patreon offer we're having coming up, and of course we're gonna be chock full of Shane insults throughout the episode because, well, me and Scott thrive on ripping Shane, so
It is a facet of our lifestyle.
it is. It's actually not even a choice; it's a necessity.
No, it's not. All right, so you
So
want me
let's
to lead off with the
yeah
spoilers? All right,
dive right
so
in.
let's go. The first one we got here is a lot of these are from the movie Solo, but Dryden Voss, ruthless crime lord, yellow villain, comes in that 15-20 point range, 13 health, so he's on the upper end of the health scale overall. His die facings, you've got a 2 melee, 3 melee, 2 focus, 1 resource, and a special. His special is you shuffle your deck, look at the top card, and then you may play that card for free. That's a pretty beefy character, pretty beefy dice, pretty typical for point cost as far as the die goes. Big difference, you can see right off the bat would be actually the 2 focus side. That's, I guess, what would separate him from someone like first set Luke, who had just the 1 focus. Obviously, the special is going to be the big story of him because that could be big play, small play. It is a random play because even if you have something that can stack your deck, he undoes it before he goes. So it's a hard one. I mean, you really can't tech to do it other than just stuffing your deck full of high cost cards.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what I have zero desire to play this character unless it's just totally for fun, like, my brother comes over and I just want to play something off the wall. I mean, I like the 2 melee, 3 melee, 2 focus. That's all fine. That the special to resolve a character's die that costs 15 to 20 points and to really have, you know, no idea what you're going to get is, I mean, you might draw a 0 cost mitigation card and they might have nothing in the pool. Like, you don't know
You might have
what you're going
dice.
to get.
You might have his
Yeah,
other dice.
you might have to remove like your own die
Well,
in that
no,
situation.
you
Oh,
would
you
never have to
may
do
play,
that
may play.
because you may play. Yeah,
Yes. All right. So, but still, I
it's
mean,
a waste of
you,
a
you
20
could
point
just
character dice.
literally get rid of his die and have nothing
Hmm.
come of it. And that wouldn't be like a far-fetched situation. I could see that happening regularly. I love 13 health. I think that, um, aside from this just crazy special, I think 13 health is on the money and the dice are good. Um, as a yellow villain legendary, I would be extremely disappointed if I pulled this as one of my 6 legendaries from the box.
I would be less, mad about pulling one as opposing to pulling the second one because I'm looking at him at just a 15 point buy. That's a pretty good dice. That's a very good dice for 15 points, and you're still getting a 13 health character. I don't know. Maybe there's some deck building that you can do between just stacking up similar effects to him. Like you have friends in high places, you run him, you run a lot of reasons to have a lot of big things in your deck to make him a little bit more regular. Maybe you run cunning so you're not taking his dice off the board, but you're taking cunning off the table, which is much more palatable regardless of what you hit.
Yeah, I like that. That's actually the best idea I've heard about him. I really the cunning. I mean, you could even go as far as the shuttle if you were playing something really bizarre. But I like that. You could play other things to copy his special. That's nice, Scott. I like that. Good call. And also, yeah, you can always put things in your deck like friends in high places so that you could even potentially hit that with his special, which would allow you then to see more cards. Or you could play things like premonitions where you could, stack something big on that. And like there's other things you can do with him. It's just going to be such a weird deck to run with just such high risk. But I'm sure the reward is massive, but it's just a really high risk deck.
Yeah, I mean that point range, anything over, I mean 19 points with the one Obi-Wan, but I'd even go as far to say 18 points realistically. It's been a hard, fit into any team just because you're very restricted in what you're pairing with them. Your dice are so valuable that mitigation can just blow you off the table. And obviously, the most successful example we have of that big cost character beyond the first set where there was just not things to play is Sabine, and she hides her dice.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, Dooku's decent. I think I think there's a place for Dooku. He just has like an ultra consistent vibe to him
how
with
many points is
solid
Dooku?
dice. He's an 18-point
That's
character.
18 isn't high cost. I'd say that's like
Okay,
the
you're
top
saying
end
that's
of
the
mid.
gotcha.
Whereas once you get to 19, Obi-Wan's had some success just with Maz, but that's
Hmm.
still getting iffy. And then once you're 20 or above, the only person that's done anything is Sabine, short of Vader in the first set. But again, I'm saying, first set considerations are notwithstanding.
Yeah, I'm not enamored. It's definitely not the card from these spoilers that jumps out at me. We'll put it that way.
I like the art. It looks cool.
Oh, it looks great. No, I think the art is good. I think the character is a cool character. I enjoy everything about it other than the actual mechanics.
Yeah.
Um, I guess if we want to move on, we could just go in order. It's going to feel a little odd, but we're going to go in the order that Jack actually posted these spoilers
Blame
in
Jack.
our Discord. So we'll go with first claim next. It's a
Yeah.
3 cost yellow event villain. It has spot yellow character to gain resources equal to the cost of a support or an upgrade in play. What do you think of this, Scott?
It seems it's a greedy card because in order to get any value from it, you have already had to have played a 4, 5, or more cost support. There's a number of decks that are fully capable of doing that, but if they're capable of doing that, do they need first claim?
I agree with that. I mean, you could put this in something like a Dryden Voss deck. That would be an interesting card for you to draw, especially if you've already hit like a Friends and High or his special earlier and landed something massive. It would allow you to play that. It would allow you to actually play those gigantic cards that are then in your hand. Um, the other thing that I think about this card is in general is that I see this as in decks outside of the Dryden Voss deck or something that's very specialized like that. I think this is the kind of card that you would want maybe one of in your deck because you really don't want to see this too early. You want to see this second turn at the absolute earliest, and you would have had to ramp pretty hard on the first turn,
Yeah,
in my mind.
it's still really rough because you have to get the big thing out there, and then you have to have 3 resources again to even start with it.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe, looking like from a draft standpoint, any card that can generate resources might be valuable, but again, you're having a trouble generating resources, so getting something on the field and then paying 3 again, you're just not getting even that much value if you hit a 5 cost support.
be interesting if there was a way, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, to get this villain yellow event in a hero deck with Hera in it, where you could cheat in something like a Falcon and then, play this on something that you didn't actually pay for to get the resources. And then that Falcon would bounce at the end of the turn, and then you could promptly play it on the following turn or another support or whatever else you have with those resources.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a thing. Although, the recycle card kind of fills a similar function, minus the fact that you lose whatever you're recycling, and it still hasn't seen too much play.
Agreed, agreed. It's definitely a stretch, and I don't think that uh, character pairing that I'm referencing or foreshadowing is really a viable
Yeah, it's
one
pretty
at that.
rough with the way it's going to
Yeah,
pair up.
just an interesting thought. I'm pretty much over first claim. If you want to move on, do you want to take the next one, the
Yeah, I'll
gem
take
of the group?
I'll take the next one. So we have L337, Droid Revolutionary, 8 health character, 811 point cost, hero, rare. Die facings, you have a 1 focus, 2 focus, 1 discard, 1 shield, and 1 resource. Character droid. And before this character is defeated, spot a vehicle support to attach this card to it as a 0 cost mod upgrade. If that vehicle is the Millennium Falcon, ready it. If this card would leave play as an upgrade, set it aside instead. So that's just boilerplate how this thing works because it's an odd card type character turning into a mod. She's good. I mean, I've said it before when we were talking about Yoda. I think maybe they undervalue that 2 focus side once you get to a certain point cost of character, and she's as low as you're getting for a 2 focus side. 8 points and 11 points will bring you a 2 focus and a 1 focus. That's a good support character because she leaves a lot of points available for other things. I could see her even replacing Maz with Obi-Wan if you had um, more way to like utilize your force speeds because you'd rather just use a 2 focus than a Maz ability and a 1 focus and thing like that.
Yeah, she's nasty. I'm blown away that she's 811. I really like her. I like her ability. I know there's some talk about how she may interact once she is a mod. The 2 dice, the 1 die. What do you get? Can you vandalize? Can you rend? There's a lot of talk and some. I believe there's been some rulings from someone that have at least given us an idea of what may happen. But I think this character is incredible. I'm not sure what kind of incentive they're going to have to kill her. You could do something like play under attack, which allows you to remove all your opponent's dice showing damage and then deal it as indirect to yourself, to eliminate her so that you could maybe ready the Falcon and then reroll in with mods. Or you could do something like a Blaze of Glory combo. There's a lot here. She's really, really good.
Or you can just take all the indirect damage that they ever deal you onto her.
Sure, that's situational on matchup though. Like if you're facing an indirect damage deck, absolutely. But
I don't think moving forward there's a lot of ways to avoid that.
no, I think you're going to have indirect sprinkled in every deck
Yeah.
for sure.
That seems to
Um,
be what they're going with new card design. But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
obviously, nobody's going to kill that character, that dice facing, even without that ability. It's just
hmm
you would go for the thing that she's supporting. But with that ability, nobody's going to put any damage on her voluntarily first. So you're going to have to figure out a way to put it there yourself.
yep, yeah, that would have to be built into the deck if you're. I mean, if you're going to capitalize on that synergy that she has with becoming a mod and readying the Falcon or whatever it may be.
I mean, from the ruling standpoint, you said obviously like, oh, the elite and what comes with that. But the other end, like what you can target it with, it seems like they're pretty explicit with she's a 0 cost mod upgrade. They wouldn't have had the 0 cost there, with the exception of being able to be targeted by cards that say 0 cost or less than, etc.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, I'm not even thinking about, oh, I'll put her on the Falcon and ready it. I'm just thinking, you know, getting that dice on any vehicle.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously maximum value would be Falcon, but that die is good enough to put it on any vehicle, especially if you're, making her like a meat sack or just dumping damage into her with other effects
Mm-hmm.
of your own cards. I think that it's just really good.
And it's actually really good card art. It's actually probably the best out of the previewed cards, just with the way. like the backdrop and then almost like the realistic aspect to it, except not realistic because
Yeah.
it's a droid.
Well, you have like the four, like she's very much in focus, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have an out of focus background, which creates almost like the illusion of like a photograph as
Yeah.
opposed to
Art.
uh, artwork, which is really really neat effect. It is a beautiful card.
And
Um,
you're looking at that die. Two focus sides are what you want in a vehicle deck. You're
hmm
playing longer turns. There's a lot of time where your opponents just spent her die, even the discard. Maybe you're attacking their resources, but then having the ability to have that two focus so that you can, you know, bring those bigger dice up to their big numbers. It's kind of what you really
Yeah,
want.
I think it's all her whole die is used. It's useful in almost all situations of the game, unless you're playing against a mill deck and you don't need shields. Like it's
Yeah.
just a good
I
die.
mean, yeah, that for a low cost character, she has like no superfluous sides.
hmm
You'd expect almost like a disrupt on there.
Yeah, which in you can make do with disrupt, and any side you can find value in situations. But I feel like her die is
Mhm.
actually just really
Yeah,
solid.
she's gonna. I mean, 11 points, 8 points, fits into a ton of decks. Provides yellow to the deck. She's in a replacement for Maz if you're looking trilogy or even rotation, which isn't too far away once this set actually drops. So there's a lot of decks like shells of decks where they're going to have some more longevity because they have this replacement that you could even say is better in a lot of ways. Maz has obviously got that great ability, and she's quicker and she protects your dice. But L3's dice is better,
It is, and you have the added effect of if they kill this character, those dice don't go away;
and
they
she
stick around.
is the low hanging fruit with 8 health, and sometimes Maz gets the attention because of that.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest um, difference in the two is you can't just like you can eliminate Maz
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of matchups. A lot of decks will be like, well, I know I can deal 8 damage in a turn. I won't have to worry about second chance, or I can take away the ability for them to spot yellow, which you can take away the ability to spot yellow, but you're not getting rid of these two dice. So it's really
Unless
just a
you're
feel
killing her
bad
before a
situation for
vehicle
your
comes
opponent.
out.
Unless what?
Unless you get her before a vehicle comes out.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's true. If you get her before a vehicle comes out, that'd be pretty
I
impressive.
mean, there's going to be decks that she's in that there's no vehicles, where she's just blank.
Yeah, just because of her dice.
Yeah,
Her dice are
especially
that
the
good.
the
Just
point
access to
cost.
yellow.
If you're looking trilogies, definitely.
I could see it.
All right, you want to move on to her boyfriend?
Yeah, let's move on to our boyfriend. I'll take this one. This is Lando Calrissian. Smooth and sophisticated. He's 11 health. He is actually hero. He's 12-15. His die is a 2 ranged, a 2 melee, a 1 disrupt, 1 resource, 4 resources with a 2 paid resource uh, amount for it. So yeah, fumbling over
That was
words.
funny.
He's a character, scoundrel, pilot. So I like the fact that we got scoundrel and pilot on a character. I like having more room to grow with all these subtitles for these
The
characters.
tribalisms.
Yeah, it's nice. It just you throw them on there, and then later down the line, make effects for it, have them be able to retroactively affect older characters. I'm all about that. Hopefully, this set we actually see a little more use of these
Yes, maybe something where
subtitles.
that trooper designation matters.
Yeah, they've been throwing that around, so that'd be nice. His game text is power action. Play a yellow vehicle from your hand, decreasing its cost by 1 and giving it ambush. If that vehicle is the Millennium Falcon, you may activate it. He is also legendary, which is the last piece of note, I believe. He's he's good. I like the artwork. I love the power action. It's reminiscent of like an Afra feel. The 11 health is really nice. His point cost is reasonable. His die is really interesting. He's going to be really strong in the initiative roll off.
Yeah, if you want to win the
Um,
battlefield, bring Lando
yeah,
because that's what a total of 10.
yeah, he's pretty stacked in the roll
That
off.
doesn't
Um,
exist at a 15 points. That doesn't exist at
yeah, no,
20
at 15
points.
points, it's unprecedented. And
That's
the fact that
Sabine.
his power action is limited to yellow vehicles is like it feels nice because it's not too extreme
I mean,
because vehicles in general is just it's too broad at this point.
it's restricting it to yellow is basically saying all of those good red hero vehicles you can't use this on, or red vehicles in general.
Yeah, I mean, even there's it eliminates gray, it eliminates.
Hmm.
There's really not much in the blue, but even eliminating gray is substantial. But yeah, the red ones are
It's
the
the red
best.
that you would just be like, oh yeah, we'll throw him in a vehicle deck. He's giving us one resource every turn. We'll always have a vehicle. Crate speeder for one.
Yep. I like him. I think he's going to have a place. I think he's going to see play. I think there's going to be a lot of thematic builds. It's interesting that he's hero. After seeing solo, I think it's interesting though. You never see him do anything. I mean, I know he goes along, but he's kind of like tagging along on these missions, just shuttling them around. So I don't know
I
why the thought of making him hero. It may be more of a balance issue than a thematic
Yeah, I
issue.
mean, there's definitely that. I don't like the fact that they made Han neutral. I thought that was a little weird, seeing the movie
I
and just
agree.
with the character. I would have,
Well, Kira even says, "I know who you really
yeah,
are." She says, "You're a good
it
guy."
would have been much more palatable for me if it was Lando that was the neutral one. It just makes more sense with his, character specifically pre, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. So what's worse? Is it Han being neutral or Qui-Gon having all the shield mechanics?
I'm gonna go with Han being neutral because I don't see any justification for that. Whereas some of the Qui-Gon mechanics, you could say it's, oh, he's sacrificing defense for offense.
Okay, you could spin it
Someone's
that way.
made,
I got you.
people have made that argument. I'm like, all right, that's a reasonable enough justification. Whereas, I'm like, I saw Solo. I don't see him being neutral.
Fair
But
enough.
this Lando is real good. I mean, obviously we've
Yep.
now got three Millennium Falcons. His version is going to be coming out in this same set. It's the biggest cost one, but then you get the escape pod shenanigans. Um, his text, the giving the vehicle ambush and the Millennium Falcon activating it, that plays probably best with the starter deck Falcon that can activate characters along with it. So basically, you're getting
Yeah.
a Falcon activation and a character activation with ambush. I hear rolling dice and then having ambush is good.
Yeah, it's a thing. I really that's the one that I envision. And plus, it is the cheapest. So if you can power action that in for three, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, three
You should
is
be able
easy.
to pull that off early.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's not like you can't play the
yeah,
the escape pod on
yeah,
it.
you can. But
Yeah, no, I'm saying you
yeah,
absolutely can.
I mean, so him making the big, extra attachment Falcon, five instead of six, then all of a sudden, that's like it's like, all right, that's a four cost vehicle and it's got a two cost upgrade to it. But then at five costs, that package is way more attractive. I don't think the you know activation on play really comes into play as much, but it's never a bad thing. The ambush is always great.
No, I mean, and if you're in a meta where it's three character decks everywhere, like assuming that some of these three character decks carry over, I've always liked three character decks. I feel like you get more value if you spread your health out, but not necessarily support decks. But if you're playing a meta that's a lot of three character decks, a lot of support decks, being able to play things and activate them may be enough speed for you to edge out the battlefield in in those similar kind of not mirror match, but same archetype of
Yeah,
deck matchup where you'll be able to make sure that you're just one or two actions ahead,
and
which can put pressure on them, whether it's they can't get dice in the pool to trigger some of the removal cards, or even you just are grabbing that battlefield effect.
yeah, I mean, it's you get ambush on any yellow vehicle, and then you get the activation on the Falcon. So with the Falcon, that's basically saving you two actions. With any vehicle, saving you one. Obviously, the big restriction is yellow only.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's a good restriction.
And
Honestly, I think that's a good thing to have in place there.
it does, I'm trying to think of like the attractive yellow vehicles, and there's just not as many that instantly spring to mind.
No, I mean you got things like quad jumper. I think the Falcon is the biggest one that I can think of off the top of my head. What else? We got the Naboo
Pirate
Starfighter
tank,
that we previewed. Um,
pirate tank.
oof. Oh yeah, the pirate tank is good. It's a little expensive,
He
but
makes it cheaper.
it does. I'm not sure what else. Let's look at the database here. Anakin's Pod Racer, which is kind of out of place there.
Yeah, the ambush wouldn't stack, unfortunately.
No, yeah, that's true. And you can't play things like the Boombas. I think that's about it. There's the XS stock freighter. Yeah, that's the weird one with all the specials that allow you to place resources on it. I don't know. There's ways to get some to build up a lot of resources. Maybe you'll see him played with Kira, and then you can take what's the yellow villain card that allows you to mill for resources? Buyout? Is it buyout?
Yeah.
I'm not a mill player. I don't know. That's potential. I don't know.
He's
I like the 11 health though.
the 4 for 2 cost. It's a very interesting side because you're very often going to have 2 resources. That's not a kind of burdensome thing. And, basically he's got a conditional 2 resource side, which is something you don't usually see.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see him on the table. He's pretty different than
Planned
anything we've
explosion
ever
decks.
seen. Planned explosions. Yeah, we'll leave that to Shane. Shane will do it. He absolutely is. I mean, I've seen Shane's built a planned explosion deck with the other
Yeah.
Lando.
Yeah, because he had a
This
similar thing
this
going to
one's
him.
better.
Yeah, this guy's got bigger numbers.
Yeah,
And he's also got damage
and
on
he
his
allows you to
dice.
play bigger
Mm-hmm.
supports.
All right.
I like it.
Let's skip the next card and do the card after it first. That way the card makes sense in
Fair
case
enough.
people haven't
I
seen
like
it.
it.
So I'll do this one. Kira, Street Savvy, 11 cost, 11 health character, 13, 16 cost. She is neutral. Her die facings are 2 ranged, 3 for 1 ranged, 1 discard, 1 resource, and a +2 modifier resource. She's a rare, and she has the game text. You can include yellow hero and yellow villain events in your deck. So yeah, she can't bring in the yellow vehicles.
No, she doesn't bring yellow
Oh yeah,
vehicles.
yeah. It's
Well,
just the event.
I mean, she doesn't bring hero or villains, but she could bring
Yeah.
buyout. She could bring bait and switch. She could bring he doesn't like you. She could bring easy pickings.
Uh,
There's
she brings.
plenty of
There's a
good
lot of stuff there.
cards. Yeah, there's plenty that you could bring to either side.
If you want to run the most possible mitigation, throw her in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the yellow mitigation packages are good. I'm not sure if that's enough to carry a deck. Although, like the initial comparison is the 13-16, the similar effect to what Finn does. But I think her dice are just better. I mean, she has one less damage side, but she's got a 3 for 1. I'm not sure if that's an upgrade or a sideways maneuver, but the +2 resources is really nice, and the discard side's decent. 11 health.
Her art is terrible.
Yeah, her art is
I don't
not
know what happened
real
there.
good. Yeah, you're right.
It
You're right
like
about that.
took a picture of Amelia Clark and like spilled something on it that like dissolved her face.
Yeah, I guess I'm not. I don't know if it's that bad, but it's not great.
It's pretty bad.
Definitely not great. It's definitely not the L337
Yeah.
art for sure.
It her effect, yeah, it's a lot like Finn. I usually really don't like effects like that because I feel like the cards that they're on either are problems or they're just useless because obviously it's something that's very hard to test around, so you tend to slap it on a chassis that's arguably not playable.
Yeah, you're 100% right on that. It's very seldom that you see that on a card that's like well balanced. It's either just extremely underpowered or like you said it's problematic because it opens up doors that were unforeseen to the playtesters.
I mean,
Yeah, I
keeping
agree.
it to events, I can't say whether you've got a fair bit of like combo oriented decks that can make real strong use of their events and things like that. So giving yellow in either side or both sides actually, it can be a problem. It's just a lot of stuff to consider.
Yeah, it
I
is.
don't think
It is. I'm not
her viability is going to be decided on like, oh, you can take easy pickings in Villian. I think it's going to have to go deeper than that for her to be viable at her point cost and the die.
absolutely.
She is again good in the battlefield role. Just
Yeah,
right below
yeah.
Lando,
Two
actually.
twos and a 3 for 16 is pretty awesome.
Anything else with her?
I like the plus 2 melee or +2 resources, and for some reason I'm seeing buyout, but I just think she's too expensive.
Yeah, 16 costs. She can't really.
She's really limited on pairings.
And the biggest problem you're going to have is yes, she allows you to bring yellow hero and yellow villain events into your deck. But you got to watch as far as what you're looking for there. I'm sure you're going to have people that are going to just bring every yellow card.
Yeah, Yeah, deck building, you got to be choosy. It's interesting that you can now bring Hyperspace Jaunt to a villain deck because I don't think the villains have any like ways to really
Yeah, to
end
reset
rounds
everything.
like
No.
that. Yeah, that's an interesting
hmm
thought.
I don't know if she can make use of hyperspace jump, so I think that's kind of safe. Like she herself doesn't lend
What do you mean?
herself to hyperspace jump decks.
To just the speed, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. You also get Rebel, so you could loop that sucker too.
hmm
Well, no, because it's getting removed, but I mean, if it gets milled, you can loop
Yeah.
it. I don't know, just interesting, something to think about. So if we keep Kira in mind, I'll read the next card. It's a plot. It's called No Allegiance. Um, it's a -1 to your total point cost. The plot text is include only if you have no hero or villain characters on your team. Each of your neutral characters has +1 health. So I think what Scott was alluding to earlier is the fact that you could pair Kira and the new Han, and they would both get the health increase, and you would be running effectively a 31 point list. You could also, I guess, swap Hondo in, and any really any of the rivals kit characters all fall into that same thing. So there's space for some interesting teams with this plot for sure that I'm sure we haven't thought of yet or given much thought to.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first negative point cost plot that we're seeing. I think it's going to be a little cheesy if it's like the only negative point cost plot we see in this set.
Well, we know it's not because
Yeah.
Inception even pointed out in our Discord that in that original Qui-Gon preview art that we saw
Oh,
a
with
while
back of the
back.
box.
Yeah, and there is a negative plot behind it.
Okay.
Um, I'm not sure what it is exactly, or if anybody read through it and was able to piece together through context clues what it actually did. But I'm pretty sure that there was a negative plot confirmed. I think it was blue.
It's obviously super restrictive. Yeah, it's not
Sure.
people thinking of the negative point cost plots either thought super restrictive or with some like gigantic downside. This is obviously super restrictive because you have what, four characters that fit it right now?
Four characters that, well, I mean, you have four characters just in the Rivals set.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because those
And
are all neutral. But I'm saying you have,
yeah,
yeah, you got Kira, you got Han, you have the three rival cards, and then you have Hondo
and Jawas, dog. Don't forget, you
and
could just
Jawas.
five Jawa it
Jawas are
up.
in the rival set.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you said the three in the
Okay,
Rival
yeah.
set.
I'm counting wrong there. You're getting +1 health on each of your neutral characters. If you could do a three wide deck, then you're getting +3. But even bringing up Han and Kira to 12 each, that's a 24 cost two character setup, which is pretty high.
It's absolutely high. I don't know if the point costs work out. You're definitely gonna have to dive into the Rivals kit if you're trying to spread out for three wide.
Mhm.
And you may even have to include a Jawa as one of your bodies.
Anakin, Kira, Jawa.
Yeah, I think that
Boom.
would work. Wouldn't be a whole lot of synergy there.
Now, yeah, I'm 2 points short there.
Yeah,
You still got points to give.
well, there you go.
You could do how much is low bodies? 10, 10,
Yes,
13?
him and Anakin are the same, and Ketsu is 11, 14.
Mm-hmm. And then Jawa is 5
6.
again? 6. So you can do. No, that wouldn't work. That's over. You can do stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can do Han 2 dice, Lobot 1 dice, Jawa plot
That would
30
work.
points,
That would work.
and you get red and yellow, but you can't take any hero or villain cards.
Yeah.
That'll work. I mean, I think you could find 30 neutral cards to put in that deck.
Yeah, I mean, at least you got different colors as opposed to the 5 Jawa deck. Although the 5 Jawa deck now has 35 health.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of health. Yeah, I think it's a plot that's much more attached to Kira because she's going to at least give you enough mitigation that you're not like kind of just giving that health away.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it definitely makes it a little easier for deck building. But I like that there's all these cards that incentivize you to build your decks differently now, so that not every deck is uniform. Like even just Dryden Voss is a very unique deck type. Not that it would be competitive, but this incentivizes you to build, with just neutral cards potentially if you're building outside of Kira. So it's interesting. After we do the last card, we can even go back and talk about draft briefly if you like, Scott. Or, let's just
Oh,
reference
sure.
that real quick now. This is
Yeah, you can go
obviously
ahead.
great in draft because you're going to have access to the rivals' characters. You can play uh, Anakin Lobot Ketsu and this plot, which would make that 3-team legal. You'd be a rainbow deck. So this, if you are unable to draft any characters, but you come across this plot, you've now beefed up your health total and you have access to rainbow. So this is an all-star for draft. Kira's ability is virtually useless in draft, so I don't recommend really drafting her. Lando's power action might not be terribly useful in draft, but his dice are decent and he can definitely make some money for you. So I don't think he's
He's,
terrible.
I mean, his problem is the 12, 15 point cost.
Yeah, and
12 points is not good
just
in
like
draft
in
presently.
constructed, I think L337 or Elite, as some people call her, are is just amazing. I would definitely draft her.
Shitty points. Yeah, 100%.
First claim, don't think that's a draftable card really.
You can't ever, assume that you're going to have a supporter upgrade to gain anything from it.
Yeah, and Dryden Voss, again, his point cost is too prohibitive to really make him a player in draft, in my opinion. As well as the fact that you're going to have a difficult time building a deck that would highlight his special. Although, his 2-3 and 2 focus is still formidable. And then the last card that we wanted to touch on from the spoiler is another yellow event. It's a villain card. It's 3 cost. It is the Wanton Destruction. Um,
Wanton.
Wanton, not Wonton. I
Yeah,
don't know why I went
not
Chinese food.
wonton. It means indiscriminate.
Yeah. For each character die showing damage, deal damage equal to its value to its matching character. The artwork is BT1, just, pulling an Eric Bana from the Star Trek reboot movie, and he's just firing everything. Not really sure where this card fits. Maybe at the end of the game where your opponent rolls out lethal, and you're able to play this to instead turn that lethal against them. Outside of that, I'm not sure if it's good because you might just want to remove those dice for less resources so that, you don't take the damage and you saved some resources.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with it. You have to eat the damage that they're showing.
Yeah.
I suppose the best world would be they're showing different damage types, so you only have to eat one and then you can mitigate it afterwards.
Hmm.
But it's a 3 cost event. If you're looking at it from like an efficiency standpoint, you have to do at least 5 damage to even like playing that.
Yeah, I see just way too few situations where this card is going to give you any valuable return.
Because it has to be the character dice and it has to deal to those characters, so you don't even have any flexibility.
Yeah, I just don't, especially now that we're going to go into a period where we have a full 6 sets to pick from for standard. Even in the trilogies format, you've got a full 3 sets for trilogies. I don't think that this card makes the cut for any deck in
Yeah,
constructed. You may see
I
this
agree.
in draft, but even in draft, the chances of someone drafting an elite character make this almost worthless because they're going to roll out 1 die and maybe they drafted Dryden Voss. Maybe you're dealing 3 for 3. It still doesn't really set the world on fire.
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't see. I mean, it's really cool looking art. It's obviously like a cool concept, but it's really inflexible. And like you said, this card is coming in at the biggest the card pool has ever been for both formats. Maybe that'll mean you'll find some way to abuse it, but it also means, you know, not specialized, versions of it or decks involving it that it doesn't really have any place.
Yeah, it's just, at least I'm not nuts. At least you agree with me.
Yeah, it just costs too much and you'd have to deal so much you'd have to deal 5 to 6 damage to feel comfortable with that cost. And to deal 6 damage off just character dice, that's hard.
Yeah.
Like, what are you staring into a 3/3 from, Dooku or Obi-Wan or something? But then you're going to eat 6 damage, so
And
you spent resources to take 6 damage too.
we just talked about how that's not really like those big characters aren't seeing the same amount of play that they used to. Now I know that there's rumors of this gigantic Vader in this set. Um,
Hmm.
so maybe if he sees play, then this would have a higher upside. But still, I'd be more interested in removing those Vader dice if that's possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't, or even shielding up maybe, as opposed to playing this.
And then you
But
just also run into the problem that there's a lot of really successful decks that don't deal damage with their character dice.
absolutely, there are a ton. It's not
Yep, this
a good
doesn't hit
matchup.
Yoda at all.
Yeah, it's not a good card. It's not good in draft. It's not good in sealed. It's not good in constructed. It's not good in trilogies or standard or anything. It's just bad.
Yeah, it's a waste of good art.
Yes, exactly. I love
It is the
BT1,
uncommon that you
but
don't want to see.
yeah, I'll pull seven in one box. All
Yep.
right, so let's move on. That does it for spoilers. I think we beat that pretty hard there.
Well, what's your favorite card out of it is, I mean, L3 probably.
It's the obvious choice, and I
Yeah.
think Lando would be my runner-up.
And then from there, does Plot or Kira, or are they two synonymous with each other?
I take the plot.
You take the Plot,
I take
and
the
then
plot just
Kira.
because it has draft value.
Yeah, and then Kira, then Voss, and then First Claim, and then might as well not exist.
Yeah, after the
I'm
plot,
still gonna.
it's
We're
pretty
gonna
much
call it
all just a
Wanton
lumpy.
Destruction.
Yes, wonton destruction. I don't know what is wrong with me. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm an idiot. Sorry.
Shane's the educated brother.
Well, that's where he gets it from.
Gets what from?
He gets all his stupidness from me. I got all the
Okay, that makes
stupidness,
sense.
and then, you know, it's just
But where are
genetic in
you
our
getting
family.
it from?
Our parents. My parents are dumb. They're not going to
I don't
listen to
know.
this
Your
anyway.
dad's pretty.
My dad went to Ivy League UPenn.
Yeah,
My brother's going to be a chemist. It's
you
scary.
know. Yeah, that really nobody, anybody, whatever you can do. Really, you got to like research the pharmaceuticals you're being prescribed maybe 10, 15 years from now, because one Shane Philippi might have his grubby little hands on that, and knowing him for as long as I have, I don't know if I want to take that.
I don't really take medicine anyway. I just eat cookie dough.
Yeah, you're gonna need prescription drugs that Shane's gonna develop, for heart disease.
All right. So
I'm
moving
gonna
on.
knock on wood.
All the morbid
We're gonna
talk
get
and
you on a treadmill.
Shane bashing. I have a very physical job.
We'll get you down to your fighting weight.
Yeah. I don't think I'm ever going to be 155 again, Scott.
We'll get you down to the realistic fighting weight where you didn't look like you were about to die.
Okay. So another topic that we wanted to talk about is that we've heard some rumblings that this set's going to be coming out early November. I think November 9th was the date we saw, but I think that might be a Friday, and they might get a Thursday release in the States. So, but I just really wanted to talk about that time frame in general, just touching quickly on it. I think it's they said November a
Mm-hmm.
while back, and I think that striking early in November is great for the community. We're all starved for something, whether it's at least here in the States, whether it's an event or a set release or anything. Just give us something, give us previews. Hopefully, the content creators start getting some previews, and we get some weekly previews in addition to that with your colored cards.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we can keep moving forward to that, and November 9th is the real thing. I know selfishly that's great for us because PAX Unplugged being at the end of
Yeah.
November would give us time to actually play with the set.
I don't even care if I have time to play with the set. I just don't want to go to PAX Unplugged with the same meta.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this meta's that bad, to be honest.
I don't
I
think
haven't
I don't think
played
it's
it to
that
death.
bad, but we've just been playing it
We
so
have.
much.
Uh, I haven't, but I mean, the general public has been playing it
Yeah.
a lot. So I understand the need for some fresh blood in it, and I think that that's going to be a good thing. And also, just set releases is going to help draw new players in. It's tough to have players in when people aren't enthusiastic to get out to local events to play for an old set of store credit or a quarter kit for the third time. It's hard to get people in the store, and that's the place where you're going to get new players the most. People are going to see
Yeah.
people playing this game. People are going to see them having fun. So getting a new set is only going to help everything. It's going to create the fresh meta, get excitement going, pumping through everybody here.
I mean, it's a rough situation because obviously you have a lot coinciding. You have the store championship season ending, you have Gen Con, you have a bunch of nationals, and then like the kind of cliff drops off.
Yeah,
And if you had a set coming out now, maybe, or even a month ago, later in like mid or late September, then you'd kind of not have that hangover effect. But FFG obviously doesn't have the ability to control their releases like that. So they're pretty much just giving it us whenever they can get it to us, which means you're going to have some times where things don't line up in a really like advantageous way, and it can be a bit of a problem. You know, if you look at a lot of other CCGs, they typically release one more set a year than Destiny does. I know a lot of people when Destiny first came out said, "Oh my God, 3 sets is too much." But when you got like 4 or 5 months between sets, that can be rough. You can see why other CCGs release 4 sets a year and try to keep it to 3.5 months, because there is that natural point where people are like, all right, figured out, move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword because it's okay, you release 4 sets a year as opposed to their, targeted three. People are
Mhm.
going to be like, "Oh, there's too much. I can't keep up. It's too
Well, yeah.
expensive." And then
Once
if
you
you
say,
don't, you got this situation where you're
yeah,
like, "Oh,
once
there's
you say what you're
lulls."
going to do, you just have to do it because you've set expectations, and people are going to make decisions based on those expectations.
100%. I agree. It's difficult, and with the fact that FFG has a lot of separation between their departments, and it's hard for them to sync up. I mean, even you can't even get promos made of relevant cards all the time, so we know there's not a ton of communication there where you can set your seasons in, you know, to to coincide with set releases so that you don't have these dry spells. That's just
You can't even
impossible
get the
because
sets
one,
out
there's
on
no
time.
communication, and two, they really don't have that level of control over when this product is in their hand to release.
Yeah, and it is to the point, and you see it bleeding through a little bit in the community every time a set, when it gets to this point, because people feel like a set should be coming out, so they start wondering like, all right, is it going to be on time or not? They can't have another delay.
No, they really can't afford another delay. I'm not a doom and gloom sayer, and I actually
No.
heard Drew from AARP say something that made a lot of sense to me. He said, he's seeing some people put their sets up, but there's a lot of people that are probably trying to get value out of their Awakenings block stuff while it's legal for standard. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
definitely.
wanted to get rid of that, now is the best time to
Yeah,
get
you
rid
would
of
have
that.
to, if you don't do it now, then you're probably going to be behind, and you're going to be dealing with the prices dropping a little bit, unless a deck comes out that's like you must use Force Speed and Ancient Lightsaber, but those already decks already exist, is going to be more popular.
Yeah, I mean, I have no desire to sell my Block 1 Awakening block stuff at all, but I just like having the stuff because it's a great game. I enjoy the game, I enjoy the mechanics. Uh, I want to keep that stuff. That's just me. That's not everybody. So that's why you're seeing some extra people putting their setup there. It's not the end of the world. The game is not about to die. We're okay. New set
People are
comes out.
constantly selling stuff in
Yeah.
every game. There's always turnover, and a lot of it, and this is probably specifically true for FFG because this is their first CCG after a while. It's a little bit of a different CCG. It drew in a lot of people that are not used to playing CCGs. We all bought way too much stuff originally. Too much Awakenings, too much Spirit of Rebellion. Because especially with Awakenings, if you could get your hands on it, you bought a ton of it because one, you could have flipped it for way more than you bought it for, or two, it was the only set that existed. So you needed a full play set of it to have any variety. And then Spirit of Rebellion comes out and it's only 2 sets. So you feel like you need all of everything again. But then you get 3 and then 4 sets. And, I'm at the point where I'm like, well, I don't need half this set because I still have enough variety because I have a bunch of other stuff. So most people that have been involved with the game to begin with bought way too much of the first 2 sets.
Now is the time for them to unload it.
Yeah.
So,
And that plays into people like, oh, I spent too much money on the game over the year. And it's like, because you spent way too much money to start. It's like if you look how much money you need to spend to keep up, it's not that much.
now for the people that are actually selling their collections and not just trying to unload just the first block, we do need to replenish those players with new players and a new set, and people being active in tournaments is going to have that as a natural byproduct of
Yeah.
people seeing a game, a Star Wars game being played, people having fun. It's going to happen. Show your friends, encourage new players. Don't stomp them into the ground. Teach them. It's natural for this kind of stuff to happen. People will leave the game. People will join the game. It's not ever going to be Magic the Gathering. It still can have a healthy place in within gaming.
And it just might be a healthy place where like some you take a month off, you take 2 months off, and you come back. And you also have to remember if people are selling and they're actually getting someone to buy it, someone's just bought those cards. Is it someone that's been playing already? Like, is it you or me, or are we going to go buy someone's collection? No. So in theory, that could very well be a new player.
Absolutely. So moving on, we got
Kappa
CAPA Cup coming up this weekend.
hype.
I'm excited. I'm thrilled. It's going to
I
be
mean,
like,
I'm ambivalent because I have
yeah,
no idea if I'm going.
yeah, you're going to be a game time decision. But if for some reason you are able to make it, this could be the first tournament, like, slightly large. It's like store championship ish size. It's going to be the first one of that or
It's
larger that all of Golden Dice Podcast have been to simultaneously. So I'm very excited. We got a chance to play some games the other night. You, me, Shane, Jack couldn't make it, but we got some games. We had our friend
got
Sharky
Sharky
over.
coming over, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. Played a little bit of Luke Yoda. It felt pretty good. What'd you think of the Luke Yoda deck, Scott?
I mean, like Force Wave when you're playing against three character decks, especially Force Wave with Luke, you get to use it twice, and then Yoda, you get to do it even if you're not, you roll one special and then you just, get the resource and hit it. It's strong, especially if you're going to face three character decks. There's no reason that can't be successful.
Yeah, I felt it felt good. It felt strong. I don't know if it's top tier or anything, but it was fun.
I think Yoda can let you get away with a lot of things.
Yoda's pretty obnoxious. He's pretty legit, I hear.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's not bad. I just wanted to try sleeving him up, sleeving Luke up. I haven't spent a lot of time
I
with
still don't
them.
own Luke.
No?
No, it's one of those things like he was so high priced initially, and I'm like, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, he's gonna come down, just because he got a lot of hype initially, and then just didn't seem to ever live up to that hype as far as how present he was going to be in the meta.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this Luke Yoda deck actually makes the most of all of Luke being, I mean, his dice sides and his health pool are awesome, but it really makes the most of that power action, which isn't
Yeah.
something that a lot of decks have
Hmm.
focused on with him. So I think it's going to be really good. And what I mean by that is the fact that you can move it to Yoda, you can move it to any other blue character, but by moving Force Wave to Yoda, and Force Wave being arguably the best meta call force power at this point, Yoda synergizes with Force Wave better than any character in the game.
Hmm.
So I think that that's where you really are able to, you know, make that deck work.
Especially when three character decks are probably the standard.
Yeah, I mean it works fine against two character decks
Yeah,
as long as you're
but
killing
better.
them at like a similar time so that you're not
Yeah.
dealing 3 damage to them, 3 damage to yourself.
Here's the important thing about Kappa, and we need to talk about this.
Hmm.
How bad are you at battle royale format?
Oh, I'm terrible. Yeah, we
How many
played some battle
points?
royale. I think I got 5.
Five. You dealt
Yeah,
5 damage.
no, I dealt 4 damage and then I got
You
a
definitely
point
got one
for
for being
playing.
four.
Yeah, yeah, it was bad.
And who won? What character won that?
Did Shane win that?
Shane won that.
Yeah, he won it with a Rebel Trooper.
Rebel Commando.
Commando, sorry, not
Hmm.
Trooper. It was interesting. I played the Force Sensitive Outcast. What'd you play, an Executioner, Scott?
I played the Executioner.
And Sharky played the Mandalorian Super Commando.
I think the Mandalorian Super Commando is going to be the most consistent and also dangerous one. Obviously, the Executioner was like comically dangerous, but
He's too big of a
Red has
target.
no mitigation.
Yeah, and also they want to kill you when that thing's on the
Yeah,
table.
I mean, they didn't. I didn't die first. You
Yeah,
did.
well, a lot of that had to do with some some politics that were happening.
You made yourself look real threatening at
I
first.
enraged. It was my first action, and they immediately killed me after that. They were like, "Oh, you're
Because
dead."
we had seen your deck and we're like, he's going to throw Force Lightning out first turn.
It was pretty funny.
But, Shane with the stupid Rebel Commando. It's actually it was just he put out some good vehicles. He got 3PO. That's hard for a weird one color deck to deal with.
Yeah, yeah. 3PO is tough.
But the
3PO is
Commando
strong.
is also, pretty brutal.
Yeah, the Commando's good. I mean, that special side synergizes really nicely with 3PO, especially when you have two dice and you can kind of spare one
Hmm.
to just, remove a die. He can definitely play the long game and go for the win. instead of
Yeah,
he's not a big target where he's not going to
no.
deal tons of damage,
Having
but he can grind it
10
out.
health is really important, and
Yeah.
he's a 1 damage, 2 damage, which is pretty good for a non-unique.
Yeah, absolutely.
No paid side except for his special, but 10 health is a big deal because people attack you less if they feel like what they're doing isn't impacting you. If you've got 8 health and someone hits you for 3, all of a sudden you look like you're about to die. You have
Yeah.
10 health, you get hit for 3, you're still a whole character away from getting killed.
It was fun. It was a really interesting format for us to experiment with, and I'm glad we played it once so we could see how
Yeah.
it's going to go.
Those things are pretty fun. I think the scoring system is actually pretty good as far as that goes. I think it's a little difficult because you have to keep track of damage that you've dealt.
Yeah. Yeah, bring some dice or some tokens or something
No, bring a
if you're
pen
going
and
to do
paper.
that. Pen and paper's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
I think
That
that's
way
the better
they
one
can't
because
knock
then
the
you can
tokens.
see it.
Yeah, and it could be public. Everybody can
Hmm.
just see your paper. So hopefully, since Jack's running that event, he has that foresight. We can make that recommendation. Just
Yeah.
notepads. So yeah, we're excited for CAPA Cup. We're definitely excited. Come on over, say hi. We're gonna have.
So I'm excited. I'm not even sure if I'm going.
You might go. I'm working on it. But yeah, come over, say hi to us if you're there. Say hi to Jack. Make fun of
We'll
Shane
have
if you
stupid
can.
yellow shirts on.
Yeah,
I
we
won't
will.
wear the yellow shirt even if I'm there.
My birthday is actually Friday, and Nicole was trying to get me a different shirt with our logo on it for the event, but it fell through. It's not going to be here in time. So, but we're also going to attempt to stream the games as well, and I don't know if we'll be able to do commentary or not, but that's something that we're looking into and trying to do because I think that really makes the stream a lot better if you're able to
Mhm.
do that. So Jack's working on that. We've got all our streaming stuff set up and ready to go.
Depends on the internet too. We might end up just having to obviously record, and then that just makes commentating easier afterwards.
Yeah, that's true. We may be able to just post it a few days later.
Yeah, I don't. I think that actually probably might be the better bet because it's not a big event, so it's not like the results are going to be out there before you get anything out.
Yeah, no, I think that might be the better option, and then you don't have to worry about internet. But I know Jack had his heart set on streaming, so we'll see what happens. We also wanted to let you guys know that we have new Patreon tokens that Jack recently posted a picture of in our Discord. I think he may have put something on Facebook too. It's our $10 tier, which he has a name for. And I don't recall what it is because I'm really not that good at this
The $10.
content creator stuff. It's they're amazing looking. They're basically golden resource tokens that have all the different symbols from the Sabak dice, and on the reverse side they say Golden Dice Podcast. And we've been working with a gentleman named Jason from Etsy, and or Jack has specifically, and they turned out amazing. I was like, Jack, I need 2 sets of these like ASAP, like
They do look
fly them
really
in.
cool.
I want them. So check those out. I'm sure you can find them somewhere, whether it's Facebook or our Discord, or I'm sure Inception can get the picture and post it in other places for you because he does that quite well. Um, and then lastly, I really would like to give Scott the floor to take us out and just rip Shane a new one.
You know, Shane, he's going to go to a tournament this weekend.
So you gonna give him a pass? Is you just gonna
I'm
let
not
him
going
off
to
the
give him
hook?
a pass. I'm going to, who was it? One of our friends asked me who each Star Trek character our friend group was, and Shane was the most immediate, response out of me. Shane's Wesley Crusher. So, if you've watched Star Trek and you want to think of Shane, you think of Wesley Crusher. Not Big Bang Theory, Will Wheaton. No, Wesley Crusher in that collar collared jumpsuit, Shane. And that's all we have.